it. And everybody in the minority party, they're fearing what Donald Trump would do in the next administration, while they sit here and they look at the guy who's been persecuted by the FBI. And everybody in the room understands it. Mr. Allen, do you have comments you wish to make? I'll give you about a minute, minute and a half, and then I want to turn the rest of my time to Mr. Jordan.
Yes, sir. I would just say that I consider the hearing today my last act of service as a public servant for the United States of America. And I'll give you my professional opinion. I was an intel professional for our country for many years, and I would give recommendations, and I'd also look at indications and warnings. So I would offer this to the American people as my warning to them. Since this is a warning to the American people, I say, I personally have no confidence that the FBI will rein in its own conduct. I've been persecuted along with Garrett, Steve and Kyle, and countless other whistleblowers. It is my opinion that the Bureau used reprisal and fear to control the workforce. It has been a seemingly effective tactic. I personally believe that there are no current effective checks and balances against them conducting lawless action with any type of correction in a legitimate time frame. I welcome the work of the IG, but I think any type of lawless action, there's no legitimate time frame to rein them back in. Their ability to overclassify information can allow them to stonewall forever. To the American people, you have a duty as a citizen to vote, and I strongly urge you to do so. It's how you participate in the American experience. I know people have doubts about election integrity, but you must vote. It is your claim. Stake your claim and don't forfeit it willingly. Have your voice heard. My other recommendations are in the natural order. First, vote. The second is the Second Amendment. Arm yourself and know how to defend yourself. Make 3 to 4 friends in your neighborhood and promise to come to each other's mutual aid in times of hardship. And during the Great Depression, people stocked up a pantry. So I think that's a good practice, especially in our economic times, and make sure you have 3 to 4 months of food. And as a person of faith, I'd say pray the rosary. Go to the First Friday devotions. That's for everybody, all my brothers and sisters of all faiths, and I know I'm Catholic. And read the gospel of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, and live it every day. And that's all I have to say. Thank you for the time.
You know, Mr. Allen, the fact that there are servants like you who have borne up under persecution that a lot of political leaders in this country do not care about is the thing that heartens the American people, and I'm confident the American people will resolve the situation.
Hey everyone, Johnny here, Don't Speak News. News we're not supposed to speak about, and you just heard some of that right there from Mr. Allen, a whistleblower from the FBI. And he just told you point blank that the FBI is a rogue organization. He doesn't expect them to rein themselves in anytime soon, that they overclassify information and do all kinds of things to hide the truth from the American people, period. Now, I don't agree with him on voting. It does absolutely no good at all. We're not going to get into that today, but I do not agree with him on that stance before you guys start emailing me and telling me, oh, Johnny, voting does no good, blah, blah, blah. I know that. So you don't have to email me about it, okay? I don't need 50 emails telling me that. Also, one thing about email. Insulting me, calling me names, things like that are not going to help your cause and get your story published. It's just not. My first priority after Jesus Christ and his gospel is my family right here at home. Not you and not your stories. I'll report on what I'm told to report on, and that's it. And I fear no man, absolutely no man or anything on this earth. I fear God, who can throw both my body and soul into hell. That's who I fear. Nobody else. God does not give us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. So for you to sit here and tell me I'm afraid to report your story is ridiculous. Everybody already knows about it anyway. Cobalt bombs, ooh, big whoop. Antimatter weapons, ooh, big whoop. We all know about it. Insulting me isn't going to do you any good. It's just going to get you blocked, guys. But I'll pray for you anyway. I'll love my neighbors myself, and I'll love my enemies and bless my enemies and pray for those who persecute me. But don't expect me not to get upset. I mean, come on. If I were afraid of people, do you think I'd have been doing this kind of a broadcast for the last 13 years of my life? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And like I said, I am pulling back because I've been told to pull back. So stop insisting and demanding that I report this and I report that. And it's not just one email, it's many here recently. So please knock it off. All right, back to the stories at hand here. Also on Hal Turner Radio, a lot of stories from him today. China fires ICBM into Pacific Ocean, lands southeast of Hawaii. That's this Dongfeng 41, and it's China's nuclear deterrent. Well, that would definitely want to deter some people if you saw that coming at you. But anyway, the People's Republic of China has, for the first time in 40 years, fired an ICBM as a test. The missile flew southeast of the Hawaiian Islands into the Pacific Ocean. China announced this test was not aimed at any particular country. Right, then why was it coming towards Hawaii then? The missile was launched from Wenchang SLS East in the Pacific 36 hours ago. Analysts have said the ICBM is likely a Dongfeng 41 with an operational range of 15,000 kilometers, or its predecessor, the Dongfeng 31. China regularly tests short and mid-range rockets within its territory and over the Western Pacific as part of its ballistic missile program, but a test this far into international waters is unusual. The last similar launch was believed to be in 1980, when China sent its first ICBM, the Dongfeng 5, into the Pacific Ocean. So, like James Acton, the co-director of the Nuclear Policy Program, says here, when they haven't done something for 44 years and then they do it, that is significant. It's China's way of telling us, like you, we're not ashamed we have nuclear weapons and we're going to behave like a great nuclear power. And there you go. That moment you realize, yeah, well, voting for Trump isn't going to save you. That much is certain. So there you go. China fires ICBM into the Pacific Ocean for the first time since 1980. So they're getting in on the game as well. Also, Hal Turner, we might as well stay here. Israeli ground invasion of Lebanon to begin this week, they say. A new statement by the commander of Israel's Army's Northern Command, Ori Gordon, is widely seen as the inevitable start of an Israeli ground invasion of Lebanon this week. We have set ourselves a clear goal: to radically change the security rally on the northern border. This week, we will have a very large-scale offensive, according to Gordon. The last time Israel launched a ground offensive into Lebanon was back in 2006, and Israel got their clock cleaned by Hezbollah. Yes, they did. I remember that very well. They did not do well at all, and in the end, they had to sue for peace. So I don't think they'll do very well this time either. But anyway, it's coming nonetheless. Now we have 4 days from now. Port strike to close all East Coast and Gulf Coast ports. I've been hearing about this one in the background for several days now. As the week-long deadline has come up on this strike to begin. And of course, this would paralyze supply chains and snarl up traffic in the ports and so on, and could obviously have a huge, if detrimental, effect on the American economy. So a looming strike by roughly 45,000 unionized dock workers at seaports on the East and Gulf Coast could begin next week and disrupt shipments of a variety of products, so buy what you need now. I agree. That's what Celeste Solheim said too, since they passed the World Union Pact, or whatever they're calling it, at the UN last week. So one half of the seaborne imports to the U.S. are shipped through the 36 ports that would likely be impacted by a strike that may begin on October 1st. It will be the first strike by the International Longshoremen Association, which represents the port workers, since 1977. The union and the U.S. Maritime Alliance, which represents port employers, are at an impasse over wages in a new contract, as the Sunday talks between the ILA and USMX appeared to be at a standstill, with each issuing statements about the impasse. And like Hal says, with 50% of all imported goods coming to the country, into the country via the ports, and if they're going on strike, well, the supply chain is going to take a big hit and very fast. So it is now imperative that you purchase the things you need now, because once the strike begins, what's on the store shelves is pretty much it. When it sells out, there won't be replacement product coming back in. So, yeah, I would take some precautions, guys. Once again, don't panic. No spirit of fear here. But, use common sense. Take a look at your supplies, take inventory of what you have and inventory of what you need, and then get what you need and get what you can afford, of course. So once again, no spirit of fear here, but power, love, and a sound mind. Also in Hal Turner, Russia found the F-16s in Ukraine. There's 5 now destroyed. Apparently it's right in this area, the western part of Ukraine. or eastern, yeah, western part. There we go. It appears that Russia found the Western-supplied F-16 fighter jets. 5 are now reported destroyed. At least 4 Russian Kinzhal hypersonic missiles have been launched over the past couple of hours, and all of them struck the Ukrainian city. I'm not going to try and pronounce that, and I'm not going to try and pronounce that oblast either. But you can see it here on the map for yourselves, approximately the area that it was in. So it is now apparent that those missiles hit the airfield there. In one case, the siren sounded after explosions were reported, indicating a degradation in the Ukrainian radar system, which could not provide early warning. According to a social media post from the wife of a Western-supplied military advisor, who was apparently killed in the missile strikes, there were F-16 fighter jets at the airfield that was hit, and they were all destroyed. And her husband, Stephen, is dead. So I'm sorry for your loss, but he shouldn't have been there in the first place. There are conflicting reports about the number of F-16s destroyed. Some sources are saying 4, other sources are claiming only 2. And there you go. Let you guys decide for yourselves. I thought I'd let you know that Russia is starting to destroy the F-16s that NATO has given to Ukraine. Not that they really have any pilots to fly them anyway. The pilots that, would have to be NATO pilots. And I imagine they will get into them soon. We'll have to see. Now, NATO is preparing a mass evacuation and rescue plans as senior general warns of World War III with Russia. Gee, do you think? Since you guys have been poking the bear for the last 2.5, 3 years? Well, really, since 2014, when NATO had staged the coup over in Ukraine. Anyway, NATO is mobilizing its resources and strategic plans in anticipation of a potential all-out war, as articulated by Lieutenant General Alexander Solafranc, head of NATO's Logistics Command. This urgent preparation underscores a grim reality. The specter of World War III is looming. In these 2.5 years of war in Ukraine, we see how the U.S. and NATO support for Kiev has breached, one by one, all the Russian so-called red lines, up until we come to the frightening position that the West is about to greenlight attacks with its long-range missiles deep inside Russian territory, a move that can unleash unimaginable consequences. So yeah, because as you see in this next paragraph, that's led President Putin to once again warn that the U.S. and NATO would be at war with Russia if the West allows Ukraine to use long-range missiles and, in fact, as we will all see, be the ones to fire them. According to reports from the Daily Mail, General Solafranc has confirmed that NATO is developing mass evacuation and rescue strategies to address the anticipated challenges of a major conflict with Russia. In a concerted effort to bolster its defenses, NATO has recently launched its largest military exercises since the Cold War, involving 90,000 troops from over 30 allied nations, and that is being dubbed Steadfast Defender 2024. And I'll let you read the rest on your own. I think you get the idea. And that's my job, is to get you the news and give you a general synopsis of what's going on. And now Putin, as I just said in that article, has issued a stern nuclear warning over strikes on Russia from Ukraine involving these long-range NATO weapons. He's made it unequivocally clear over the past 2 days, and for the past 2 years, that Russia will use nukes if their security is ultimately threatened. So they know they can't win a conventional war against NATO. And so they're ready to use nukes at a moment's notice. Everything's sitting on go, as we talked about the other day. Western proxy war risks crossing Russia's nuclear red line, according to a military analyst. Moscow's updated deterrence doctrine is a warning to the West to stop testing its patience, according to Indian Army veteran Colonel Rohit Dev. So he said that changes to Russia's nuclear doctrine are not a significant shift, but an effort to show the West it cannot continue using Ukraine as a proxy with impunity. Under the proposed updates announced on Wednesday, Moscow would consider aggression against Russia by any non-nuclear state with participation or support from a nuclear state as a joint attack, which could then cross the nuclear threshold. While no specific countries have been named, it would appear to apply to Ukraine striking Russian territory with weapons supplied by the U.S. or other NATO countries. According to Colonel Dev, Russia sees conventional Western weapons as an existential threat. Yes, of course they are. He says what's happening is that while the West wants to showcase the war, fight it through the proxy, use Ukraine as a proxy state to fight your war with the Russians, it's basically the West fighting the Russians. The deputy head of the New Delhi-based International Institute of Security and Safety told RT in an interview. Russia is saying that if you cross your threshold on these lines, we will use the nuclear weapon. Period. It's quite clear. Of course, nobody takes them seriously now because so many of these so-called red lines have been crossed already. So we'll have to see. Once again, this is God's plan. This is Armageddon unfolding around the world, guys, as we talked about many times. And in fact, this was talked about by Leland Jones again on Off-Grid Desert Farming's channel here the other day. Leland and Paul got hooked up here, as you can see in this video. And it's a 2-hour interview. It's very good. Some of it you've probably heard with Leland and myself on my channel, but a lot of it you maybe haven't. And so I was really happy to see that Leland did that interview with Paul, because it gets out to a lot more people with this channel than mine. So it's just the way it is, since I lost my 30,000 subscribers. And then here's the Dimitri Duduman warning, the prophecy, urging America to repent in the late 80s, early 90s when he was doing his tours. And of course, it wasn't real popular, giving Americans this doomsday message that Russia and China are going to attack us, and they're going to attack us through Cuba, Nicaragua, and other Central American countries. And yeah, that's the prophecy right here, guys. And then last but not least, he also interviewed Dimitri Duduman's grandson, which I watched here today, and I thought was very good. So I'll put all these links up on the website. I'm actually going to do a couple separate postings for these, because I believe that they deserve that. So, but there's Michael Boldea, that is Dimitri Duduman's grandson, and he still continues on with Dimitri's ministry. So there you go. I'll be putting those up later too. But guys, how much more do you have to see? How many more pastors do you have to listen to? How many more teachers that are telling you the same thing? We're at the end of the age. We're at the end of the tribulation hour. And yes, the Lord can delay his coming. We don't know the day, the time, or the hour, but we're close, and we know from world events going on all around us that it's even right at the door. Do we still have some more things to go through? Yeah, I think we do. I think America's got a lot of economic turmoil, civil war, civil unrest, and then, of course, war will happen, as the prophecy says from Dimitri Duduman. The war is going to happen. The Revelation 18, Jeremiah 51 war on Mystery America, Mystery Babylon is going to happen, and it's going to burn. It's going to burn. And so we have to be ready. We have to be prayed up, and we have to be prepped up as well, so we're ready to go on a moment's notice if the Lord tells us to bug out. So we've got bug out bags in our cars, my wife and I, and if the crap hits the fan, we're out of town. We're gone, and we have a good idea where we're going. So if not, the Lord will direct our path. So that's another thing. People are now telling me that I need to move because I'm in Washington State and blah, blah, blah. Listen, guys, the Lord has put us here for many, many good reasons. And he's showing me those as we go along. Even in this apartment, which really surprised me that he would move us to an apartment after being out in the countryside. But he had his reasons for that too. And he's been revealing them to me as we go. And it's been pretty amazing. So he knows what he's doing. And I'm listening to his voice. Don't worry too much about me. But keep praying for me. I sincerely appreciate that. But you don't need to demand that I move somewhere because I'm in Washington State. I know it's not a great state as far as the government goes. I love the state. Its people out here in Spokane's been great. Yeah, there's crime, but there's crime in every city. Right? So overall, I've enjoyed it. I just can't stand the state government, which, when the wicked rule, people mourn. That's what Proverbs says, and it's true. And when the wicked are removed from rule, the people rejoice, right? So anyway, we'll all be rejoicing here soon when Jesus Christ returns, and I believe it's really close, even at the door. So, and like this FBI whistleblower says, guys, it's Mr. Allen. Get your preps ready, 3 to 4 months of food, and then, of course, number one, pray. Pray. Don't worry about voting. Worry about praying. Do not put your trust in men, in mortal princes who cannot save. Psalm 146:3. And there you go. All right. Don't forget that don'tspeaknews.com, in case you're new here, is home base for all that we do. One of my latest postings here from Celeste Solomon, this video I did, joined her video with mine on this UN Pact for the Future. It is passed, and the New World Order is in place. And that's just one of over 2,000 stories I've got here on don'tspeaknews.com, home base for everything that we do. And like I said, if you want to find things here, look along the side, blog posts that are related to the one you're looking at. And then also down here at the bottom of every article are categories. So any of these categories that you want to click on to learn more about, things that I have on this website, just click them. If you want to learn about the Antichrist, click on that. And then scroll down below, and everything that I have related to that will be here. And then some. So lots of stuff here to explore, guys. Like I said, over 2,000 stories on don'tspeaknews.com. If you'd like to support us, click channel support. And all the different ways to support us are linked right here. And we definitely need your support here at the end of the month to make sure that the lights stay on and the internet stays lit. And then to subscribe to the channel, click subscribe, contact Johnny, type in your email here, click on subscribe, and you're in. And then here are the two emails, one at Proton Mail and one at Yahoo, where you can send me news stories and leads. And I thank you very much for that. All right, that is it for now. I will keep my eyes on all this as best I can. God bless, take care. Johnny Storm, Don't Speak News.